You got it.
Got
We
it.
did it. All right, let's see how this goes. Okay. Well, good morning, and I hope you all had a happy St. Patty's Day. I have to admit, this silly little holidays like that inject an element of fun, and I love that. Anything like April Fool's Day, anything like that that injects fun into what we do on a daily basis. March Madness is doing that for me. It's injecting fun into everything. I mean, it's just cute and fun, and of course, not if your team loses like mine did in the first round, but
No.
other than that, and there were all these upsets yesterday, and that was
Oh my
exciting.
God, it was bad.
I know.
There's
And
bracket breakers already.
oh my gosh, my
Yeah.
bracket was busted by the first game because UVA. I picked UVA to go all the way. Don't ask me why, because it's my team. And no, out first round by a random no name team. But stuff like that is so much fun, and it that's the stuff that gets us through the hard things, right? So that's what I was thinking. Why don't we talk about this concept of disappointment and frustration in our business? And there might be things in this that you can extrapolate into life. I don't know. I'm not a coach or a counselor. I'm not any of those things. But some of what I'm going to just share with you and sort of get you to talk about for a couple minutes is really just born of experience. The other side of it too is I will admit to you that I am a little bit of I am a big optimist, and I'm also a little bit of a Pollyanna sometimes. And maybe it comes from my faith. And maybe it's personality. I honestly don't know where it all comes from, but it is a good way to live, as opposed to it's all negative, it's all going to go downhill. And I've had those depressions. I know what that feels like too. And I know that that's not who I am and who I want to be, but that's how I feel sometimes too. So I want to talk about, let's dig into, why do we get disappointed in our business, and what are those key things that actually trigger disappointment? And I started making a list here of just these different triggers. And the first one, we get so disappointed when we get cancellations, right? Because we do the work, right? And then people cancel on us or they postpone on us, but we had goals, right? And boom, there go the goals. The second is we get disappointed when we try and try and try and try, and we don't get the results. We can't get the bookings, right? We try and we can't get team members. The third one is really hard, but why we get disappointed and why we feel frustrated is that other people don't do what we thought they were going to do. Other people don't do what they said they wanted to do or intended to do. That's a whole other issue. And it's easy to harbor frustration and resentment toward them, and that's a natural human. What I want to say is all this is a natural human emotion. So we're going to talk about the emotion, and that we cannot ignore the emotion, but we can figure out what to do with it. So people don't do what we thought they were going to do. People don't do what they said they were going to do. That's hard. Another reason we get disappointed or frustrated is because we set goals, and this is on me and you. We set a goal, but we don't think through the steps that are required, and then we get to the end of the time frame and we go, oh, you know what? I really didn't plan that out very well. I really didn't plan for the kind of work that it was going to take. And so there's that like internal frustration, like not just at circumstances, not at other people, but at myself. So there are different kinds of frustrations in this. But that one, number 4, is we set goals with no action steps. That's on us, but it's still a really negative emotion. And that one can really go inward, where we can go, well, you're not cut out for this. You're not good enough and all that, which is just so bad. But normal, and we can get past that. The 5th one that I came up with was, I didn't realize what that goal was going to take. Did not know what that goal was going to require of me. Didn't know it would take all that. And it's a little bit like the 4th one, where we set goals but no action steps. But this is just truly had no idea. And this is, this happens when people are trying to get to another level in their business, and they're building muscle. They're in the process of building a muscle. It's just like an exercise. You don't realize what it's going to take to do that half marathon. You don't even know what it's going to be able to take to do that 5K, because it's so much harder than you think it would be. They make it look easy. Oh, just do this. No, it's actually harder than that. But the interesting thing is that the process, and we're going to talk about this at the in the dealing with it part, that not realizing what it would take is normal and to be expected. So when I set about many years ago to reach senior director, senior executive director, I did not realize what it was going to take of me. I did not realize the intensity of focus it would take, the deliberateness of my actions that would be required to get to that. And that's why only a few people hit it, right? That's why only a few people get to certain levels. It's because it requires so much, but it also requires building muscles. So we will talk about that. So any other reasons you get disappointed that we didn't cover? Categories, specifics? I'm sure I missed some. Nothing. You're unmuted.
Just like things that are out of our control. Like, I think that's a big one.
Things that are out of our control. Yeah, right.
Like a lot of these, like you can't control cancellations, right? Like,
Yep.
I think it's more it's how you recover from it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and we're going to talk about that. So out of our control, and it could be things like weather, economy, things happening in your town. I mean, I don't think the economy is an issue, honestly, for our company. It's not. It's shockingly, it's not. But things out of our control, like really a string of bad weather, and everybody cancels because of the blizzards and things like that.
Jobs, sometimes their jobs interfere.
Sure. Yeah, our jobs.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a job and it gets in the way. Things out of our kids get sick, family members
Yeah.
get sick. I mean, I had a scenario where I was pushing to senior director, and my sister had cancer. 3 cancers in 18 months. And so it was, and I was her, her battle buddy.
It
That was
happens.
by far the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
And so things out of our control, and they can get in the way. They can be frustrating, as far as or disappointing. So, okay. One of the thoughts that I came up with stems from a story that that my daughter shared with me about frustration. This has really resonated with me. Maybe you've heard me share it before. When Claire was sick with Lyme and other things for a number of years, and we didn't know what it was. She gained a lot of weight at one point, and through mold and medications and stuff, and it was really significant, and it was very disruptive to her. So she started once she got past all the treatments for Lyme and all that, and was really doing so much better. That's when the doctor gave her the okay to start working on losing the weight. So she hired a nutritionist and a trainer. So she was working in DC she just started working in DC. She was making some money. She hired a nutritionist and a trainer, and started to see some results. And then the results really slowed down. Actually, she didn't see any results. She didn't see results. She thought she was doing the things. She thought she was doing everything that they were saying, but she had a crying meltdown conversation with the nutritionist and said, "This isn't working for me." And or maybe it was the trainer. And the trainer said, "Are you doing everything that we have said to do? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this?" And Claire had to admit that she wasn't, that she thought she was doing a lot of it, and that should have given her the results. She wasn't doing the things. She wasn't doing the package. And her trainer, Taylor, said, "There's no reason to be frustrated until you are doing everything that we have said to do. Then you can get frustrated. But until then, there's hope, because there are things that you can add to what you're doing that we've already talked about that will make all the difference." That story was amazing to me. It was a wake-up call for her to go, "Oh, I can't just do the pieces I like. I have to do the pieces that they say because there's a purpose and they all fit like a glove into a puzzle, and I have to do them all. And if I've done them all and I'm still not getting what I want, then I have every right to be frustrated. But until then, I can't be frustrated. I have to be curious. And this is the key. Our frustration needs to lead to curiosity, not self-condemnation in everything. Our frustration should not lead to self-condemnation, but curiosity. Okay. So that's the key, is rather than turning it inward, I'm not cut out for this. This is the wrong company. I'm not good at this. I'll never be good at this. As opposed to that, we need to go, what can I learn and do differently? What else do I need to learn? There's something I'm missing, and that is okay. And it's a part of the process. Okay. So really important story and an incredibly important concept. So how do we deal with frustration? The first one is make sure that we are setting goals that include action steps. So, you know, when we all are like, yay, it's the first of the month, I'm setting my goal. I'm going to get that sweatshirt, 2000. But I don't make a plan for how I'm going to get the parties, how I'm going to get the everythings. If I don't do what I know I need to do, I'm not going to get my goal, but I can't be frustrated if I'm not setting my specific action steps. Here's the thing. If you feel like you have set action steps in the past and you still haven't reached your goal, share your action steps with your upline leader and say, okay, does this make sense? Will what I'm saying should work actually work? Am I missing anything? What else can you think of that I want? What should I shift? How should I look at this differently? Because this is my goal. I want to make sure that I have the right steps. So that's the first one. The second one, and this is really key, make sure that we're setting goals that we actually care about. Make sure that they are heart goals, as opposed to, oh, everybody else has this goal, I need to have it too. There's a lot of that goes on. And I completely understand it. And I do it sometimes, and it comes out of a fear of missing out. It's a FOMO thing. Like, oh, I want to earn the trip, right? I'm going to go on that trip because we don't want to miss out. We don't want to miss, you know, the thing at the end with the people and the joy and the fun and all that. But we have to actually have it in our gut that that's the right goal for me. It's okay to say that trip is not my goal, but here's what my goal actually is. And I'm going to support.
Want it.
You have to actually want it, not just wish you could get it because that's what everybody else is working toward. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, I want that trip. It is in my gut. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going after that trip and I'm going to get it. Raina Michelle was a great example of that. She's never earned a trip. And man, she literally etched it out week by week on how she was going to do it. She was going to have this amount of sales each month, this month, that month, the following month. She absolutely nailed it. I've never seen anybody nail a trip the way she did with the Trip for Two. But it was in her gut. I am earning this first trip that I'm eligible for. And she figured out her action plan, but it was in her
Oh,
gut.
Raina.
It was really something else. It was a joy to watch, and it proved to her what she was capable of. And that's a part of what's really important. And that goes to my next one, which is that process is way more important. How I grow and who I become are just as or way more important than the actual goal. So when I was working towards senior director and senior executive director, I had to build muscles that I did not have. I had to learn things that I couldn't even see coming. There was so much I didn't even know about. I didn't even know what I didn't know. And here's the thing, and Kathy would probably say this is true. To get a trip, you don't even know what you don't know until you start down the path, until you're working on it and you go, wait, my muscles aren't nearly strong enough for this. But the process is what builds the muscle. The muscle doesn't just appear on its own because you want it there. It's because you're building that muscle of, instead of 3 parties a month, 6 parties a month. Like, that's a muscle. That takes a lot of muscle, right? To get on a trip. You go, oh, it's just the numbers. Yes, but it's a muscle to learn how to do 6 parties a month instead of 3 or 2 or 1, right? It sounds easy on paper, it's not, but that's okay. If we really care about a goal, whatever it is, and we set out the steps, like the action steps, then those steps are going to build the muscle that will get you there. It's just like, my people who do all the boot camp stuff, and then they do competitions with the boot camps. They're like, oh, I want to do all these competitions. Well, but they had to build muscle to get to that. They had to learn how to control their bodies and how to build all that stuff. We have to do exactly the same thing. Every single one of you can do any of this. I'm telling you, any of you could go to senior executive director. Any of you could do it. But you have to decide if that's what you really care about, right? Because if you don't bother, right? It's not worth it, right? What is worth it is what fits in your family life, what fits into your professional skill development, because there's a lot of that goes on in this business, a lot of professional development. You have to decide what you really care about and where you want to grow. That's all that matters. And that what you're learning in this business, you can take to other parts of your life and to other things that you'll do 10, 20 years down the road. I mean, it's the process of the discouragement, how to push past it, how to refine my goals, how to refine my actions. These things are all a part of the journey. It's normal, and we cannot ignore the frustration, but we cannot let that be the end of our road, because that does not bode well for us in life. That's just not how life works, right? We want to learn how to go, I'm so disappointed, so frustrated. I don't even know which word to turn. Big deep breath. Okay, I got to get curious. What do I need to do now? Who can I ask? Who can I go to? Then the last piece is partnership. Now, I know we've got some like business buddies that I know of, some little groups of people, who connect with one another on a really regular basis on our team. I never say anything about it because I want people to pick unless they're stuck and they don't know who to pick. But I'm not always seeing the best connections. Be careful who you partner with. Partner with somebody who is going in your direction, who is going at the same pace as you, who wants to go at the same pace that you want to go in. Because if you're going to partner with somebody who can't, won't, refuses to, believes she cannot, don't partner with her, because she's just going to weigh you down and give you all the reasons that your brain is already going to come up with. We're good at thinking of the negatives. You don't need somebody feeding you more, right? You need that person who goes, yeah, that I'm so frustrated. Okay, we're going to take 1 minute and we're going to be frustrated together. And then we're going to start getting curious and ask ourselves some questions. Okay, that's the partner you are looking for. Doesn't have to be a leader. It can be somebody who's at exactly the same place as you, but who wants similar things as you and is willing to work on it the way you're willing to work on it. It's kind of like an interview. You got to figure out who those people are. Be careful that you don't align yourself with somebody who doesn't see it the same way that you do. Because if you're going to spend the next hour talking to them and trying to bring them up and tell them stuff that they're not even going to listen to, your time is way better spent in other places. So that's really the key. Goals with action steps, goals we actually care about that are the heart goals. Process is more important, how I grow and who I become, and finding that really great partner who will encourage you to be curious about what else you need to learn, especially in those moments of frustration. Frustration is a clue. Disappointment is a clue. Okay, there's something I need to learn here. What do I need to get curious about? I can be frustrated, but I need to turn that into action. So what does that make you all think of? Does that give you anything to go on?
My problem is I get really frustrated a lot whenever I will reach out to someone and not hear back from them.
Right.
Or sometimes they'll read it and like just not respond at all. And I could be on like the third time eventually reaching out to them and they still don't answer. But
right.
And then you'd like try to call. But if that's not what's happening, there's always other people to reach out to.
Right. Yeah. And that's normal. So let's think about that. So if we can create processes for what we do in those situations, then it takes the frustration out of it. It's just okay, this is how it is. If I don't hear back from her after the second or third try, she's probably not interested right now.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to put her on my list for 3 months from now to reach back, circle back around to her at some point. Just put her on my day timer for May, end of May, whatever. Don't let it frustrate you. She's just not interested. Her head isn't in the game. Whoever she is, she said she wanted a party. It must not be the right time. We have to give grace to people. You know, it's hard because this is really important to us. It's not important to them. It is not important to them. It's not until it is. And we might catch them in that moment. But if it's not important to them, let's give them grace and go, they have other things going on. They don't care. It's okay. I'm going to put her on my list for May or June or whatever. Contact her again. Next, go to the next person. It's all information. It depends on how we process it, though. I can be frustrated by it, or I can go, okay, it is what it is. Put her on the list for 3 months from now, 2 months from now, whatever. I'm going to give her grace.
What about the person that has that party already booked and you're supposed to be there like on Saturday
Yeah.
and she
Yep.
hasn't answered you?
Yeah. Okay, so that's easy too. Again, it's not, and the hard part is when it's tied to a goal, right? Because we need that party, and
Mhm.
that's hard. This is where being proactive really comes into play and being very sincere. If I haven't heard from her and it's a week out, I'm going to say, I'm really concerned about you because I just want to make sure you're okay because we were talking about doing your party next Saturday, but I am getting the sense that you are canceling, and that's okay. But I just want to know right now so I can refill that date. 1 week out, if you haven't heard from her. If you still don't hear from her, a couple days later, say, so sorry, maybe we can rebook. I hope you're doing okay. Hope to see you soon. I'm going to rebook that date, and then it's done. It's just done.
And then just,
We have to have a system for all these eventualities because it happens. This stuff happens all the time, right? So if we simply know what we're going to do, then that's okay. Now there are other people who say, like by Thursday, the party is Saturday. I haven't heard from her. Thursday, I'm going to send her a message saying, hey, if I don't hear from you, I'll see you at your house at 7 o'clock or whatever. You know, I do it the opposite way, which is I'm assuming that we're not doing the party. So you know, maybe we'll get to do another time because I want to clear my calendar. I don't want to make her feel bad. You know, and I'll hear from her either way, you know, with a definite of here's what we're doing. If I tell her here's what we're doing, she will reply to me. And if she doesn't, then I already know what the answer is. That's okay too. Every now and again, what's really funny is every now and again, I will have a hostess who's like, oh, no, we're doing it. I've already got 5 people coming. Okay, thanks for the heads up. Every now and again, I have those people. But sometimes we don't always know how to communicate, right? Especially if it's bad news or uncomfortable news, we don't know how to say it to people. And I think that's just true of humanity because we don't want to disappoint. And our sweet hostesses, they don't want to disappoint us. They feel bad. So they delay, like, well, I'll tell her tomorrow that it's not going to happen. I just feel really bad. Maybe she'll get the message. Let's let her off the hook. Gracious, spacious, let her off the hook. It eliminates our frustration when we have a plan for how to handle these things. Handle it sooner rather than later. If you're not hearing from her and a party is a week from now, handle it today. Handle it well in advance so that you're on the same page as her and there's still time if she says she's actually doing it. Okay. This is our business. We get to run it the way we want to. We get to say what we need to say. It's okay. But we can say it with love and sincerity, right? I'm so sorry. It just doesn't sound like maybe you're not on target for next Saturday. It's okay. If we need to reschedule, it's fine. We want her to hold it, but not because we're, you know, making her. That's
Yeah.
not good either. Guilting her into it. That's not good either. I'd rather have a week to rebook that date, honestly. With the hopes that I can. Amanda, does that give you anything to go on?
Yeah, I feel like it does. I think that helps somewhat. Like so whenever like you don't hear from someone after a couple times, would you like change your message or just and put them down like your calendar?
Did she say she wanted a party? Is this somebody who said she wanted a party?
Yeah, like someone said before that they wanted a party, and then the one like I had people that I went like last Saturday I did that vendor show.
Yeah.
I was super excited about it.
Yeah.
And I was sat right next to another jewelry like company that was right next to me. And the lady wasn't very kind, whatever. People are unkind sometimes, and it's okay. And quote unquote, she said that it was based off of if you want expensive jewelry, go to the next table next to me. And she said, but my jewelry is $5. And a lady came down through and said, what jewelry is this? I've never heard of it. And I said, well, it's Touchstone Crystal by Swarovski. And I like basically just said, our jewelry is very high quality and it's handcrafted by Swarovski, which is our parent company. And like, I felt better after I like started explaining why maybe it's a little bit more expensive, but like the people that I reached out to that went through my table and like entered for the enter to win cards and I filled them back out, I heard back from maybe 3. Is it something that I'm saying wrong or?
That's pretty good.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for a vendor, you have to remember with a vendor fair, it's a different kind of crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
they're
much
looking
different.
for a different. It's a shopping experience. It's a day out for them. If 3 is a good team, I've done a couple now, and if I've gotten 2 people to hear back from them, like that's amazing.
Yeah,
because they're really there for a different like lens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they don't
Sometimes-
have any connection to you. You know, they met you. And again, they're more important to us than we are to them.
I've done vendor events where I've heard nothing back from that vendor event, to be honest. Then I've done a vendor event where I've booked 6 parties from that vendor event. So it goes either way.
One
So-
thing
I'm trying to find new people
Mhm.
that I'm still spreading out of like I want to be out of. I don't message my friends that much anymore at all because it's not about I'm not bothering them. I want new.
Yeah. I don't message any of my new friends anymore just because I know if they want anything, they're going to contact me.
Yeah.
now.
Me too.
Just because I mean, I'm not saying they don't get like my messages from Swarovski or whatever. And I don't stay in contact with them because I do. So I don't want them to think I forgot about them. And I always send them the special if I know that's something they like. And that's, something that, they buy a lot, like the ice bracelets or the wraps, or I got my Lulu girls that, love the Lulus. But overall, I know they're burnt out. They're like, okay, I've bought enough. I've had enough parties, like leave me alone type attitude.
Let me alone.
Let me go. So my vendor events, I don't go there to really sell. I go there to
No, I want
go,
parties.
and I want parties. I want new people. I want to show, because up here, I'm the only one. So it's like I have that advantage now. But you're right. When at a vendor event, when they put me next to someone else that sells jewelry, I almost feel like that ruins my whole day because it's so true at a vendor event. When they see somebody that's got $5 jewelry versus our jewelry, they're at a vendor event to spend little, not a lot.
Yeah.
So unless it's somebody that knows a little bit about Touchstone or Swarovski, they walk right by you type thing. They don't even want to even look, versus if you're down from somebody that's got jewelry way down here, they're like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is gorgeous. But when you put side by side somebody, it's a whole different attitude, I find.
Amanda,
and I found
it's fair if that ever happens to you again. It's fair to ask the organizer to please move you.
Absolutely.
because that
Really?
does not work.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
organizer should have never done that.
Yeah, I have done that now
Yeah.
because it's absolutely, because this is my third year of vendor events now. So
Mhm.
absolutely I do that now.
Yeah. Because you are her customer, she needs to move you. And that's, yeah, she wasn't thinking clearly about putting you two together. The other thing is that you could also go to that paparazzi gal and say, I'm really glad you're here because we offer two very different things, but could you please not talk about my jewelry as expensive because you're really hurting my business?
I wanted to say that. I was like,
Well, why
that made me
didn't you?
frustrated. Oh,
Why
because
didn't you?
I
Yeah.
didn't want to have to sit there from 10 to 3 and feel like she was like, oh, she's mean. Like,
Why would that, but why would that be mean?
mm,
She would have stopped if she had realized that what she was doing.
Yeah.
That they are two very different lines, both
Yeah.
equally deserving of time,
yeah,
right? But that she was casting your line in a negative light, and she didn't need to do that.
nope.
Hers is one day wear, yours is lifetime wear.
It's
Mhm.
a great way of putting it.
And I started saying about a forever warranty, and they're like, oh, like the customers were like, oh, that's nice.
Good for you.
And then I had a lady ask me, like right after I said that, and she was going up. She said, what's next to you? And I said, I think it's like the paparazzi table. She said, oh, that's nice. And I said, yeah. And she said,
Sure.
but I think I want the warranty. And I have a quick story, but I know we're on a recording thing, so I'll maybe say it after.
We'll finish with the recording in a second, then you can tell us.
Okay.
Amanda, a thought
Yeah.
about vendor events. I think the hardest part is that they don't really know us or remember us from Adam when it's like craft fairs and things like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've tried in the past, and I think it works a little bit, is when I'm talking to her just briefly,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say, "Is it okay if I reach out to you to flip you all the sales and specials?" So that she's expecting to hear from me. Is it okay if I just text you? Is that good if I just text you with it, with all the sales and specials? And that way she's waiting to hear from me with what's on sale and what's on special, which is being a hostess, right?
Mm-hmm.
That way there's a little bit more of a,
I didn't ask that. I just said like about filling it out. And a couple people asked if they'd be contacted if they win the basket. And I said, yes, you will. And but I contacted them anyway because I thought that, that's what you do.
it is what you do. And now you
I
can even
do.
add them to your email list.
Yep, done. I already did that.
That's great. Well, and you never know, because then they might start seeing things
That
that
they
they
like.
really like, and you did the great job of introducing them in the first place. So it's again, it's a process and it builds a muscle. But the key is, okay, this didn't work. What question can I ask to make this better, to get better at this, and to not be frustrated, or to not be frustrated for very long? Because we're going to I feel frustrated right now about a couple things, but it's because I'm not asking enough questions of myself. It's pretty consistent, and the farther you want to go in this business, the more frustrations you're going to feel, and the more questions you have to ask yourself and other people. Okay, how do I solve this? Because we're building a muscle, we're challenging our muscles, and that's a really good thing. So frustration and disappointment are all a clue to get curious. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop recording real fast here.